Some deep stuff has come up for me this week. That's what I want to share. And there was a fear of me because, my fear is that you're going to watch this video and think of me less than perfect. And why would you sign up for my program? All of that, if I'm like a mess, if my business is a mess or whatever. But, would I sign up with that woman? I'd be like, hell yeah, because, she's real and she's not trying to be perfect. So that's where I'm at. I'm real and I'm not trying to be perfect. So let's see how this experiment goes. So I was talking to my friend Joe last week, and I was sharing with him what I'm going through in terms of my business and what happened last week. Last week was a really challenging week for me in terms of my work, where one of my team members has left the team. That left me feeling very uneasy. And I take a lot of things personally when it comes to claimed and what happens in the business. But this thing in particular here has really triggered something in me. And as I was talking to Joe last week about this, we're talking about like the videos that I'm recording and what I'm putting out there. And he said, what are you feeling now? Like, what do you want to talk about? Or what do you want to express that you're not expressing as a feminine essence woman who teaches embodiment? And I was like, well, I'm a feminine embodiment coach and a dating and relationship expert and coach. And, I can't share with my audience what I'm going through in terms of my business and how I feel because, I don't know, to me, it was just like such an unimaginable reality where I'm going to come out here and like break down in front of camera and share what I'm going through in my business. Because in my mind, my audience, you, the woman watching, are not interested in what I'm going through in business-wise. And there's also this thing where I guess I'm trying to portray this image of like this amazing businesswoman who's got it all together, who helps women achieve success, who's herself successfully financial, so on and so forth, because, that's who you want to sign up with. I guess to someone who's perfect. And I'm definitely not perfect. And I was actually like, this was such a mindset shift for me because, I was asking him all these questions, how do I grow my channel and how do I attract as many women as possible to this work? Not because obviously I want to build my business and achieve my financial goals and whatnot and live the life that I want, but because I truly, truly believe in what I do and I see the results. I've experienced these results in my own life and I've seen the results that it brings to the women that I work with. And so, in all of my videos that I've been shooting before, it was all about,
what is the structure of this video and what do I want to say? And here's the 3 bullet points.
And then how can I find the most click-worthy, title and all of that, and trying to tell a story that's emotional and whatever, And then this wise man, Joe, basically told me, what is something that you are experiencing within your own life that is emotional and what you're going through? Because as a feminine essence woman, you feel and you embody, and as a woman, you're connected to your emotions. So why don't you try and bring some of that? And I was like, well, this week has been really emotional for me in terms of my work. Through this business journey for the last 3 years is where claimed has really taken off. It completely kind of propelled me into the next level of my life. Like we grew 10x in the first year and then we kept growing to the point where in 3 years we managed to get this business to 7 figures. And, I've had some lows as well where I was burnt down. If you're a business owner, you know how this works. If not, just know that entrepreneurship, it's been hard. It hasn't been easy to grow claimed. I'm really proud of what we've done. And I love entrepreneurship. I love having a business for these reasons that it takes you to some amazing places where you break through all of the barriers, but it also takes you to some really hard and really sometimes dark moments. And so last week, where one of my team members who's been with us for quite some time, for 2 years, she's been on my sales team, she's amazing, has left the team. And then we brought some new people to the team and we're trying to scale. And, there's all these octopus octopus legs that are happening all the time. And last week it was feeling like, you know, that movie, the crazy movie, Everything Everywhere at Once. That's what happened. And this event where this team member has left me. You see my language? Notice, has left me, which is already giving you, you know, an idea of what the trigger might be, but has left our team. And I took it quite personally, you know, like everything was amicable, everything was great. You know, it really stirred something in my system, and it felt really hard. And what do I do when this happens? Well, what do I do almost every single day? I do my feminine flow practice, especially when things get really hard. Feminine flow practice is something that I teach my women in my program. It's part of the feminine embodiment modality that I work with women. And of course, I teach what I practice. And so as I was going through my feminine flow, I dropped this constriction into my body. And when I dropped this constriction into my body, and as I flowed through it, I was like, oh, you know, this feels like this in my chest. It's a constriction. It's in my belly. And tears started flowing. That feeling in my body felt like abandonment and betrayal. But I realized that this is the same feeling that I felt when my girlfriends left me. You see my language again, left me. So over the last, I would say 6 to 7 years or so, as I got married and had children and built this business, I had quite a few girlfriends on my path that our paths have not aligned anymore, and I either see the language of left me is coming. I either turned away from them or they turned away from me. But it feels like mostly they've turned away from me. And this had felt actually really personal, and it felt like abandonment. Like to this day, I feel like I don't have a lot of girlfriends that can really understand where I'm at and who I am and what I'm dealing with in my day-to-day, especially having a business and dealing with what I'm dealing with, because it's very different. And I have one girlfriend, and if she's watching this video, she'll know it's her. I actually told her about this. I'm like, you're the only one that's left. And then, you know, it felt like something was wrong with me. It felt like really lonely. I started saying, you know, it's really lonely at the top, and maybe it is because, you know, what I'm dealing with, what I'm struggling with is not shared by a lot of women. You know, I pondered on this and I realized that in a lot of these relationships, I've become either a mentor or a coach, sometimes even a therapist. Although I have attracted a girlfriend who is at my level, I'm very excited to be, you know, in connection with her. But anyway, so that, you know, so this situation with my team member, as I was doing my flow and dropping deeper and deeper, and to this day, I'm amazed. I shared this with my clients last week. To this day, I'm amazed by how the body keeps the score and has all the answers, even when I thought that, you know, I've uncovered and how many times do I have to heal my childhood trauma? And I'm leading you to my next point, where it started with a team that triggered something in me like betrayal, abandonment. And then it reminded me of the same feeling that I was feeling as my girlfriends left me. And then as I dug deeper into that, I deeply felt how it's exactly the same feeling that I was feeling when I was left and abandoned when I was growing up as a teenager. And I started to realize that this whole thread for me of fear of abandonment and triggers and stuff started when I lost my mother when I was 8. And so after that, I was left with an emotionally unavailable father. My father has passed away now this year as well, last year. And then he remarried to a very toxic, unhealthy, you know, and I was a woman, and I was through the whole this time, I was emotionally and physically abused by my dad, by my stepmother. I basically left because when I was 18, like my nervous system was broken, and thank God I was, you know, not adopted, but I stayed with my aunt. And so now looking back at it, I realize how much of an effect it actually had on me. So I lived with her for about a year or so. She has a drinking problem. And as I'm speaking through this, I'm like, God, please don't let her see this video. Or even if she sees it, she doesn't speak English. So hopefully, you know, and even if she sees it, she's probably not gonna understand. And like, how do you talk about this when people are alive? for the, like, how do you overcome that fear that they're going to hear it and it's really going to hurt them, but it is my truth and my reality. So anyways, I ended up living with her. And when I was recording a message to my girlfriend, I was voicing this out, and I was like, holy shit, I lived pretty much with an alcoholic for a year and a half. I was really scared, and I'm like, fuck, that must have created a lot of trauma in my body. And then lo and behold, I mean, there was a reason why I was scared, because one night I was dragged by my hair across the room as a result of this, alcoholic accident, so to say. At that point in time, my sister also, who has her own journey and stuff, she was a couple of times it happened that she turned away or like didn't support me. And we've talked with my sister after this a lot. So the four most important people in my life, first being my mother, my father abandoned me, left me. And then there was my aunt, and then my sister, who was then in a different country at a university herself, struggling with her own thing. I thought I've overcome this fear of abandonment. Like, as you can see, as a result of this deep abandonment and beliefs, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve love, blah, blah. I've healed all of that in the area of my love life. I've worked a lot through my own stuff to heal all of these things in the romantic domain or in my relationships. And that's how I managed to attract my amazing, committed, masculine man. We have a family now. And I'm very conscious of how I show up with my kids now. But it was really interesting to track this trigger of a team member leaving the team, not me, but the team and the business, right? But I took it as leaving me, and then to the girlfriends, and then where it stems from. And I was like, wow, this is deep stuff, and this is something that I really need to work on. And I'm happy to say that, String and I are going to start to work with a business relationship coach to really get, because, I understand, and now I very consciously realize that everything I knew before, that the business is a reflection of me, of us, of the founders. But now I consciously realize that, no matter how many traffic, email marketing, Instagram strategies you try, deep down, it's all about a belief system that you hold about yourself as a business. Or let's say when a team member leaves, what does that mean about you, about the business? How do you handle this? When you get a client who's dissatisfied, when you get a nasty comment on Instagram, all of these things that are just a normal part of the business, they trigger the shit out of me. Oh my God. I'm so much more calmer now, and what I've done, I think I've done through my flows. I probably cried twice last week because of everything was happening. It was really, of course, it was the team member who left, but it was also hiring new team. We've hired 3 people at the same time, and they were not very much performing, and the traffic wasn't right, and they weren't converting. And it's all right, this is all go down to shit. There's a lot of tension in my body, so I did what I know, how to do and release. I just did my feminine flow practice, and therefore I stayed sane and didn't panic. And naturally I am an optimist, and I know that I don't give up. I've built a lot of resilience, and also these tools help me just feel and release, and I know everything is going to be okay. But I know that I need to work with this, and therefore we hired a coach. I'm really excited to work with this in my business, because I actually have not dealt with I've overcome so much to get to the place where I'm at, but there's some deeply rooted stuff and so many bad decisions, by the way, that I made along the way. So why am I sharing this here? Because I truly want to connect this to you as someone who watches my channel and maybe follows my work. When you're struggling, because I know if you're watching this, you're probably struggling with attracting great men, and it's the same principle, right? So here we are starting, in my case, starting at the top, which is, what is the current situation that's causing me pain, frustration, discomfort? For me, it was, my team member leaving, and then I traced it back down to where this was coming from, right? So for you, if it's the same thing, and that's what I teach, and my program is all about, and helping single successful women attract committed masculine men, and it's mostly not in the I call them gimmicks or tricks or whatever. It's not about the dating apps you're at. It's not whether you live in New York City and you have to move somewhere else. It's not in the profile pictures or the way what you say to a man. It's about who you are being as that woman. And so here I was, for me, the trigger was a team member leaving, but for you, it's, you know, all of the men that you're attracting that's bringing you discomfort in the body, you know, like the pattern of attracting emotionally unavailable men, or men ghosting, or men not wanting a relationship with you, or wanting you to do all the work, whatever that is. I invite you to, you know, if you were to work with me, that's what we do. We look for patterns, look for that pattern and notice how does that feel in the body, and then drop into your body. And I teach a fundamental feminine flow practice, which how I just uncovered my answers. But your job is to look what's underneath that, and what is at the bottom of your pattern, and what mechanisms deep down inside of you, and this might be called shadow work. I call them limiting beliefs. What is a belief system that you're holding in your body that's really is at the bottom of your dynamics with men? Because it's all about that. It's all about how you're showing up, and just the same thing is for me in business, right? It's how I'm showing up, and the decisions that I'm making, and the mindset that I'm holding, and the way I communicate to my employees, and the way I communicate sometimes to the clients, not all the time, as I said. This is not actually very strong with me and clients because I'm really good with boundaries and holding space. For me in the business, it's all about currently, it's about the team and building that team. I mean, in any business, you know, your team and the people you work with are the most important people. That's it. And they're supposed to lift your business up instead of dragging you down. Not drown, but like you dragging them along. That's how, for me, the last 3 years have felt. And now I know it's time to shift and change. And so look at, in terms of men, what is that about for you? What is at the bottom of that? What is driving that pattern or that behavior or that theme in your life? And the answer is all inside of you. So that's it for today. Let me know if you've enjoyed this video, because as you see, I'm like twitching, fumbling my thumbs. It's really uncomfortable for me to share, but you know, I'm an open book, and I actually share freely my dynamics with men and my story and everything. But obviously that story, I don't have, like, you know, I've lived that in my body, I've released it. But this is something that I'm currently struggling with. And in the effort to, I guess, promote this, you know, I'm not perfect. And this is honestly, my business is the only area of my life currently I'm thinking, is it?
Wait a damn minute.
Yeah, I've pretty much healed my adult acne. I've got a belly now, so I guess weight is gonna be my next area that I need to figure out. But it is, but oh my God, it is, because when I was, you know, so business is currently where I'm needing help and I'm developing and putting all of my energy and resources in. But, you know, like when I was trying to heal my adult acne, like you should have seen, I mean, now I'm wearing makeup, but I really was trying. I have a whole article and even videos on my YouTube channel about how, you know, I'm struggling and I've cured this pretty much. Whatever the problem is in whatever area of your life, trust me, it has legs, it has roots. And the roots are deep down inside. When I was struggling my problem with adult acne, the actual root cause was not that, it was not hormonal, it wasn't my skin because I was doing everything. It was actually emotional eating. The fact that I was eating, you know, gluten and lactose. Whenever there's food, I eat it. And, you know, whenever I saw before a pizza, I couldn't help myself, and the chocolate and the sugar. And guess what? It all goes down to the same damn thing, which is my fear of abandonment. I eat to fill a void. That's what I was doing with men before. So anything that's a pattern goes deep down inside. So that's, but I know you're here because you're struggling with men. So that's the work that needs to be done. And if you're curious about this, where should I send you? There's going to be a video here that's going to help you take the next step in terms of how to uncover what's at the bottom of your dynamics with men and how to fix them. So click on this link and go there. And if you like this video, let me know in the comments.